The Late Great Planet Earth, Chapter 5, continued. Ethiopia or Cush, Black African Nations. Ethiopia is a translation of the Hebrew word Cush. Cush was the first son of Ham, one of the sons of Noah. Moses mentions the land of Cush as originally being adjacent to an area near the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Genesis 2:13. After examining many authorities on the subject, the writer discovered once again why Dr. Gesenius is recognized as one of the great scholars of history. Gesenius summarized all of the evidence as follows. 1. The Cushites were black men. 2. They migrated first to the Arabian Peninsula and then across the Red Sea to the area south of Egypt. 3. All the black people of Africa are descended from Cush. Gesenius observes, indeed, all the nations sprung from Cush and enumerated in Genesis 10:7 are to be sought in Africa. Cush is translated Ethiopia 21 times in the King James Version, which is somewhat misleading. It is certain that the ancient Ethiopians, modern Abyssinia, are made up of Cushites, but they do not represent all of them according to history. The sobering conclusion is this: many of the African nations will be united and allied with the Russians in the invasion of Israel. This is in accord with Daniel's graphic description of this invasion, Daniel 11:36-45. The Russian force is called the King of the North, and the sphere of power which the African Cush force will be a part of is called the King of the South. One of the most active areas of evangelism for the communist gospel is in Africa. As we see further developments in this area in the future, we realize that it will become converted to communism. Libya, or Put, Arabic African nations. Libya is the translation of the original Hebrew word Put. We have the same problem pinpointing these people as with Cush. Put was the third son of Ham, Genesis 10:6, and descendants of Put migrated to the land west of Egypt and became the source of the North African Arab nations such as Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco. The first settlement of Put was called Libya by the ancient historians Josephus and Pliny. The Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament, called the Septuagint, translates Put as Libya in about 165 BC. The conclusion is that Russia's ally Put certainly included more than what is now called Libya. Once again, there are current events to show the beginning of this alliance. The territory of northern Africa is becoming solidly pro-Soviet. Algeria appears to be already communist and allied with Russia. As we watch this area in the next few years, we shall see indications that it is destined to join the southern sphere of power, which will attack Israel, along with the King of the North. Gomer and all its hordes. Iron Curtain countries. Gomer was the eldest son of Japheth and the father of Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. These people make up an extremely important part of the future Russian invasion force. Dr. Young, citing the best of the most recent archaeological finds, says of Gomer and his hordes, they settled on the north of the Black Sea and then spread themselves southward and westward to the extremities of Europe. Gesenius speaks of part of Gomer's hordes as being Ashkenaz, the proper name of a region and a nation in northern Asia sprung from the Cimmerians, who are the ancient people of Gomer. The modern Jews understand it to be Germany and call that country by this Hebrew name. Josephus called the sons of Ashkenaz the Rhaginians, and a map of the ancient Roman Empire places them in the area of modern Poland, Czechoslovakia, and East Germany to the banks of the Danube River. The modern Jewish Talmud confirms the same geographical picture. The conclusion is that Gomer and its hordes are part of a vast area of modern Eastern Europe, which is totally behind the Iron Curtain. This includes East Germany and the Slovak countries. Togarmah and all its hordes, southern Russia and the Cossacks. In Ezekiel 38:6, the house of Togarmah and all its hordes are specifically pointed out as being from the uttermost north. Gesenius says that they are a northern nation and a country sprung from Gomer abounding in hordes, horses and mules. Some of the sons of Togarmah founded Armenia, according to their own claim today, Gesenius continued. Dr. Baumann traces the evidence of some of the sons of Togarmah to the Turkoman tribes of Central Asia. This would explain the statement of the uttermost north and all its hordes. The conclusion is that Togarmah is part of modern southern Russia and is probably the origin of the Cossacks and other people of the eastern part of Russia. It is interesting to note that the Cossacks have always loved horses and have been recognized as producing the finest army of cavalry in the world. Today they are reported to have several divisions of cavalry. It is believed by some military men that cavalry would actually be used in the invasion of the Middle East, just as Ezekiel and other prophets literally predicted. During the Korean War, the Red Chinese proved that in rugged mountainous terrain, horses are still the fastest means of moving a large attacking force into battle zones. Isn't it a coincidence that such terrain stands between Russia and Israel? Many people are with you. Ezekiel indicates that he hasn't given a complete list of allies. Enough is given, however, to make this writer amazed by the number of people and nations which will be involved. Gog, take command. Ezekiel, prophetically addressing the Russian ruler, commands him to be prepared. Yes, prepare yourself, you and all your companies that are assembled about you, and you be a guard and a commander for them. Ezekiel 38:7. In other words, the Russian ruler is to equip his confederates with arms and to assume command. If you have doubts about all that has been said in this chapter, isn't it a bit unnerving to note that almost all of the countries predicted as part of this great army are already armed with weapons created and manufactured in Russia? What is your game, Gog? We have seen that Russia will arm and equip a vast confederacy. This powerful group of allies will lead an attack on restored Israel. However, Russia and her confederates will be destroyed completely by an act that Israel will acknowledge as being from their God. This act will bring many in Israel to believe in their true Messiah. Ezekiel 38:15. The attack upon the Russian Confederacy and the resulting conflict will escalate into the last war of the world involving all nations. Then it will happen. Christ will return to prevent the annihilation of all mankind.